Hey there. How's it going? Let me see this going. Oh, well, we'll find out. So hey, this is bigSHow theGod. That's better. Looking straight at you rather than over to the side of these damn screens. So, what was I going to do today? I got asked the other day about values. So I thought I'd go through the process I went through to establish what I value. I think that was the question. You know, cutting right through it. I think it was like, what are your two main values in life or at all? What do you value the most, right? You can look up a list. It might be you value loyalty, friendship, kindness. You know, there's about 30 or 40 sort of words for things that you might decide you value the most. You know, you can sit there and say, oh, I value all those. And maybe. But it's quite a, well, it's quite a good exercise to go down and narrow it down to just a couple, right? And you might get down to 4 or 5, and you've got to kind of make a decision between a couple of them, you know. Some people, you know, look at and they think faith is their biggest value. They value the most, you know. Loyalty, honesty, integrity, all these kinds of things, right? So I went, oh, let me think of how I would approach that. And I guess I spent with little basic things first. I mean, a lot of my stuff I kind of use science most of the time. So in science, I can't get away from the truth. Truth seems to be what I'm the most interested in anything. And that's the truth seems to stem into everything. You know what I mean? So it's quite quick for me. I just went the truth. And then if you want two of them, I went honesty. Truth and honesty. And the rest kind of comes from that. For how I see things anyway. It's quite good because I had a group of people do it, and some of them had one of those, but they had other values which they came to, and for personal reasons, particular reasons, right? But mine's probably a little bit, probably a bit clinical, I suppose. And I thought about it a long time. Actually, might have been thinking about this for like 3 or 4 years almost. And I go, well, one question I was asked is how can your truth and honesty is the same thing? And it's not. It's two different things. I guess with truth, you can have different things. If you watch, there's ways to categorize truth, right? You categorize it as truth, whether you believe it or not, right? And then I guess there's personal truths that you believe to be true, right? And so it's true that there's oxygen in the air, whether I believe it or not, right? It's a scientific truth, factual truth, devoid of my beliefs or my understanding of things, or whether I agree or disagree makes no difference. It's true regardless. It's true regardless of anybody else. That's, those are things that are tried and tested. So there's that truth. Then there's personal truths, which are maybe what I believe is true or what I think is true, but I don't have any evidence for it or enough evidence to know that it is true. And for that, I probably go more into the honesty side. So that's where honesty comes in. And I use honesty to me being honest, yet it may not be true, right? But I'm still being honest. And I guess ways I sum that up is I can be ignorant of something, but I'm being as honest about it, right? And, and so in that, the kind of I like the honesty and the truth thing because they're kind of action words, because they require quite a lot of work. So it means my honesty, I be honest on what I am, but I'm challenged or try to hold myself accountable because I'm looking for the truth all the time, and that ranges any subject matter. So when I'm doing things at work, I'm trying not to take hearsay, trying not to take in opinions, just opinions. They can support the subject, but they can't be the overall reason to make that decision. It has to be void of biases. You know, it has to be evidence. It has to be more evidence based, which gets tough, right? It's hard in certain stuff because you might only have a few bits and pieces to go by, and that's okay. And that's where being honest comes in. So being honest, I may not have all the evidence or all the facts, but I still may have to make a decision. So that's where your honesty comes in. You make an honest decision based on what you have. And if there are, and you look for gaps, and where there are gaps, you look to try and get some more information if you can. You know, because it's changing all the time as well, right? So that's what I like about it on that front. And then through everything, I've noticed from, say, honesty or from truth or facts, all the other values become a symptom of that. So what I mean by that is that integrity comes from honesty. You know, if you're trying to have integrity, generally you've got some honesty built in, right? So you can do both. And the more you work on the truth, which is subsetted of myself, facts, and constantly be honest and look for the truth, you're always improving. That's the way I look at it. So even things like kindness, or as a value, that comes out of honesty, or generosity, or compassion, or just about any other value. I can actually establish that from facts and from truths and from honesty, as long as you work at those things, though. And that's the tough part. Yet that's no different for any of the other values, right? I mean, you can have integrity today, but if you don't keep working at it, then you won't have integrity tomorrow. Right? You might have integrity in some areas, but from another perspective, you don't. Right? So yeah, so it's a tricky one. So that was kind of the highlights that we're going through my values. It's interesting. Most people I've shared that with, or have gone through the exercise, have a different take on it, which I quite like. Different take altogether, So that's sort of interests me more than my own values, if I'm honest. Because I go, well, how come you guys have got values that hold? I mean, one of them had family and integrity as his two. And it's tricky with family being a value, because I mean that's people, and then value family the most. What was interesting was he didn't have too many relationships with his family that he would say were really good relationships. He had one with his kids and that, but everyone else was very. So that was interesting. But I guess it's the same, because part of the process too is what we do after that is we rate them, rate out of 10 how you think you compare to that value, right? That's pretty cool too. So if you create your values, then you say out of 10, how am I living by those values, right? If you're giving yourself 3 or 4 out of 10, then there's stuff you've got, right? So it's an opportunity to, how do you, if you give yourself a 3 or 4 out of 10, or honesty, say, I did. How do I get myself to a 6 or a 7? Because the process of getting yourself to a 3 or a 4, you've got stuff that you've perceived or that you've decided you're lacking in, I guess. And what will it take to get it to a 4, 5, 6, 7, so on? And that's great. That's a great part. And I reckon, we talk about goal setting and all that stuff, is that use this type of process. It's actually pretty good. It adds that layer of goal setting where bringing in, whether you like it or not, the emotion, right? Bringing in the actual values are in line with your goals. It seems weird. You have a value that I want to earn $1 million a year or something. So that's your goal. And to take steps to that goal in your perception is to spend this much time at it, which you have values here, apparently, that are family or honesty or truth or integrity, and they're not lining up. You know what I mean? So it's a cool way to kind of go set your goals with your values, and the values can actually bring those into line so that you have some type of balance. So you have some balance to your goals, to your goal settings. Whether you use the SMART method, you can actually, in fact, it's probably another layer to creating SMART goals, but tie in your values as well. Would make more sense than maybe the SMART part of it, right? The measurable and the accountable, timeline and all that sort of stuff. It makes sense, but you put your values alongside it or towards it. They self-create. They self-create those, and they're probably more buying. How's that? More just another tool to use to help you stick to that goal. That's what I've found anyway. If you really use those as those tools, you can use it across anything, any of your pillars. I think I've mentioned pillars to you. So you have your pillars as well, whether it be your health, your relationships, your finances, career, you can have as many as you want, I guess. Okay, mental health, relationships, career, finances. Those are kind of my pillars. Rate those out of 10 for yourself. Share with someone else, get their opinion, get their feedback on where they rate you. It's good if they know a bit about you. Look for something in there. And then when you're setting goals, your values, 2, 3 values, I guess doesn't really matter. Whatever your values are, make sure they're in line with that as well. Back to those. Makes your planning a little bit more adaptable, a little more, you're probably going to be more achievable than you think with a SMART goal. Always put achievable in there because you're thinking here. Now you've got to consider these things. So what may come out of it is that you can prioritize you'll find the 5 pillars, or how many pillars you've got for yourself, kind of connected, whether you like it or not. Career is connected to relationships. Finances are connected to relationships. Finances are connected to career. Health is connected to finance. Finance is connected to, they're all connected. You look at it that way. So you really want your ratings out of 10 for all your pillars and your values to be kind of up in the 7 or 8s from a personal perspective. It's a good start. And then back to my values is honesty and truth. It requires evidence. I have to have a lot of evidence to prove that that's a 7 or an 8. I give any of those pillars, I give any of my values a high number, you'll need a lot of evidence. If I give it a low number, I would assume you'd have some pretty good evidence for it too, right? So that, I think that's the biggest reason I struggle with having other values there. It's the main value. Because if you just have kindness, or if you just have integrity, if you just have family, or as your values, it seems to be able to make you a bit more wayward, if you like. Because hiding from honesty is it's pretty tough. It takes a lot of work. So you got to really lie to yourself. And that's why I have truth there, right? So having honesty, I can honestly lie to myself. I can do 2 things. I can be honestly ignorant. You know, I don't know there's oxygen in the air because I've never learned it. So I believe that there's no oxygen in the air. It's just being ignorant. You know, I'm still being honest. You know what I mean? You told me a story. I listened to it. It's the only story I knew. So I agreed with it. And I share the story to someone else. I think I'm being honest. Right? The reality is, I need to confirm this. If it's confirm the validity of the story, especially if I don't know much about the subject. You know? So the more difficult your story is to believe, the more third-party evidence I'd require. Unless it doesn't matter. Unless I'm not making a decision with that anyway. Right? So if I'm not using that as my decision making, then it doesn't matter. But when I'm using that to make a decision over here for something, I need it to be supported further, right? So that's how truth and honesty really play their parts for me personally. I guess if you don't use, you know, if you're not skeptical, if you're not willing to put the work in to prove or disprove what you said, if you're not willing to have tough conversations where you go, well, that story doesn't make fucking sense, and have that discussion back, you know, and I guess it's harder. Well, it's different. It's difficult. So there's a few things in there which so I'm starting to make things even more complicated, right? Which is what tends to happen. But to me, it's not complicated. But I know what I think it is complicated. But just to me, it's kind of rehearsed, I guess. I think what's complicated is executing. You know. So yeah, so there's a bit of a jumbled up thing there. So I best be going.